Fireside chatting, I guess. Anytime I sleep for a good long time, I wake up and the invisible stuff's all over my skin. Kind of vaporize some of it off, especially on my neck. It's like if I were to just close my eyes and imagine what the process must be of the fungus. I've described it a bunch of times. Is a micro, nano fine strands growing through the pores of your skin, like literally through the structure of a cell, or at least wrapping a cell. That scale, really, really small. It's like a mesh growing through and just weaving around like an ivy, almost. You think of an ivy growing, goes up a wall and its roots go down into the bricks and break them apart, that kind of thing. Except it's, growing on the body, and it has preferred areas where it seems to stem from. It really feels like it's going around my spine. It's like all the way from spine, from, the crack of your ass to the top of your head. And that's where it's just like it started there, and that's where its core is, and it's grown outward until it has all the peripheral issues. I think that's because we don't have as many nerves to sense things like that, internally, as you move out from your spine, out towards your skin in all directions. And so by the time you start to notice physical issues from it that really stand out, there are things on your skin where you have a lot of nerves, and so they become a problem. But that's a problem as a result of something that's been going on for years and years and years prior to that. Is the growth of this stuff. It's not like you're fine, there's nothing going on, and then all of a sudden, Morgellons falls out of the sky and lands on you, and then you got Morgellons. It's not quite like that. In Raynaud's, that's just another expression of what I'm calling Morgellons. It's just a term used to run cover for poisoning people. We're all being poisoned in all of these multitudes of ways, but the common factor is the type of poison being used. It's a heavy metal toxic poison. And you can say aluminum, you can say arsenic, you could say lead, you could say, any of the metals that we associate with toxic poisoning. They all have the same symptoms of toxic levels of poisoning, acute levels of poisoning. It's all the same, and the symptoms happen to mirror the signs of aging. The signs of aging. They mirror them, pretty much exactly. So heavy metal toxin is the symptoms of heavy metal poisoning to toxic levels, acute levels of it, are the same as in long-term exposure, I should say too, not like a one-time. I got exposed to a whole bunch of aluminum oxide gas. That will kind of clean out of your system. It might mess you up, but it can be cleaned out of your system for the most part. It's the slow buildup over decades that really you can't just undo instantly. That's why it's done to us, and that's when I was younger, I remember talking to, I don't remember the conversation exactly, but I know I talked to my dad about fluoride once or twice, probably when I was like 10, 12 years old or something. And I believe he heard about that, and he said, well, there's things that are in our system that are technically, if they were accumulated, would be poisonous. And this is, their reasons for putting the fluoride in the water is, legit, and that it's, such small amounts that it's not really going to do anything. But that's not exactly true. I think he just didn't understand the way that this system is working, and the long, slow patience of what's going on to take over the human race, really, if you want to come down to it. I know it sounds like some big conspiracy theory of Dr. Evil proportions, this cabal is taking over the entire world and wants to turn every man, woman, and child into their brainwashed, poisoned, robotic slaves. But that's true. Hard as that may be to believe, and as it happens, people can't even accept that that's what's happening, that they can, but if, I don't understand it, how people don't notice that's being done to them, how they think that, the disorders and the problems and the diseases that everybody seems to be having all of a sudden they're just natural, they're perfectly normal. Oh yeah, mankind's always been plagued by diseases of all kinds, right? Makes a lot of sense. Let's never question it. Doctor, give me some pills, please. Oh, thank you, Doctor So and So. You know, I guess I'm at the crossover generation where I had a childhood that was still based on the old world, somewhat. At the '60s crossover, was right before I was born. So all the revolution and all that stuff of the '60s, the social type of things, had just happened. But out in the rural areas, it was still pretty much rural. There was, farms all over the place, and food was taken from those farms to, the big conglomerates would buy from these individual privately owned farms, get their milk and their meats and stuff from the ranchers, as well as their crops, right? And then they would process them at their big location and then distribute them nationwide or whatever. But you could still go to your local area and get foodstuffs that way. Anyway, I got to see this crossover in the world go from locally sourced food and rural areas with populations that stayed in their area kind of, and shoot, it's such a broad subject. It's really hard to describe it, but I think you probably know what I mean. The old way that we think of the world should operate or did or whatever, as far as using common sense and I don't know. I tie into it with these ideas of freedom and rights and stuff too. I mean, we don't have any rights. How many rights you can hold in your hand is how many rights you have. But there was this sense that your life was yours and that you should go out and explore the world or do something with it, right? You could, and then there was a future for you, I guess, is what it seemed like at the end. And people felt that way in mass, and they went out and did things. There was a lot going on back then. You know, and society today seems to be, by comparison, utterly resigned. They have absolutely resigned any care about the legitimacy of anything. They believe everything that's said. They believe their doctor. They believe their news. They believe their science people. They believe it all. They believe it all. They never ever think about it, and they just get up and go to their whatever they do jobs. I mean, I don't even know what these people in the offices do. You can only have so many people work in sales, accounting, billing, insurance. I mean, there's only so many people that can work in those, so you can't have everybody in the world work in insurance. Who are they going to sell insurance to when they all work for an insurance company? Because that's basically all there is anymore. There's insurance companies and pharmaceutical companies and car companies. I mean, everything has gone. Corporate, huge import, mail order, everything. It's ridiculous. You can't even go to the store and get hardware that you need for the damn near, because most of the hardware stores have closed. There's no competition, and the one that if they don't carry the thing you need at the hardware store that's available to you, well, guess what? You can order it and wait. What a perfect way to track and monitor the purchases of every person in the world. Make it so they can't get anything any other way. It's kind of like the money system is, This is how the money system is used to, wrangle everybody into being a slave. I mean, we're all slaves. What they've done is the Moneymasters, really, is if you step way, way back and look at it, the Moneymasters, whoever they are, want to have everybody be their slave. But we all lived out in rural areas. We could get our food and our things locally, and so what they do is they use their money and influence to control media and public opinion, and they pit nation against nation, and then they declare wars through their control of the governments, and then the stupid people go and fight the wars because they think they have to. Oh, our nation is threatened. We gotta go protect it on the other side of the world and kill people. Come on, everybody, let's go. Yay! Let's have a war memorial when you get back. Anyway, the Moneymasters pit everybody together over the world. They fuck everything up, and nothing ruins a people's memory and history more than a war. It's so emotionally charged, overwhelming, and up in their face, and too much to have to deal with, that it starts to block out other things, like real history and things that by comparison seem less important, like, what actually went on 10 years ago or 20 years ago or 50 years ago that was relayed to you or that you knew of. The personal things that you personally know, they get erased in wars. People's histories get erased in wars. Nobody in this country can trace their family back. I can go back to my great-grandparents, and I only, off the top of my head, know the names of my great-grandma, Beeks. Other than that, I can't go any farther back with my history. I'm sure it's there. There's got to be somebody, right? We don't know anything in this country, and we think we know everything. Fuck. Is the problem. People don't question nothing. I think Rudolf Steiner, I don't agree with a lot of the things he says. He was this turn of the century occultist that, along the lines of Blavatsky and the Theosophical Society. But a lot of things he said also were very, very, very wise and ahead of his time thinking. Like, he could see what was happening in a lot of these places, or he knew what it was, and he could only talk about it in a certain capacity or whatever. I don't know. I think there's the global cabal, the people that believe we're on a globe, or want us all to believe we're on a globe, that we're on the space ball. They have a dividing line in society and in the collegiate and universities and in the intellectual crowds. The people that get talked about on television and on the news and in papers and magazines and who are writing up articles and getting press, right? There's a dividing line there, and if you want to be included in that big time group, it could be business related too. It's across the board. Anything that the banksters can control, which is pretty much everything, because they have all the money, and they get it for free because they're the ones who have it. I mean, it's if anybody thinks the economy is real, they're freaking deluded, because the economy cannot be real. There's no way our nation could spend 1,000 times what it takes in year after year after year after year, and there never be a consequence for it, unless it's not really our nation, it's somebody else's nation, and they're calling all of the shots, and we're just stupid enough to think that it's our nation and go along with the shit they say, which is what's happening, in my opinion. It seems like all the evidence is there to support that, which I don't need to go into, because you know what I'm talking about. What am I talking about now? I forgot what I'm talking about. Fucking banksters and shit. I've got to get up there and then put the prop on. Just need to vent a little and warm up my neck. Warm up the back of my neck, so I don't get the creepy crawlies up my spine. I get itches. I get a weird itch. It's in the same spot pretty much. So that's what's kind of annoying about it. A lot of these Morgellons things, they express themselves in the same location. It's too much to deal with sometimes. This way, that way, and I'm really stressed about some personal issues, but I don't really like to delve into my personal relationship with friends and family and such so much on my channel, because that's just shit you gotta figure on your own. seen no smoke yet. Oh, I shaved. That's right, I shaved last night. That helps it to not smoke. Except for back here, probably. I've got to go out and put the prop on in the rain. That's okay, I gotta go in the water anyway. With the wetsuit on. Which I put on my wetsuit yesterday to do all that, but I was moving so slowly that by the time I had it all on and everything ready to go, it was getting late, and I just didn't have the energy. I think I probably can have the energy today, but it's kind of late. Oh well. I mean, it's not late, it's like 4:30 or something. It's dark. But I have a big bright light hanging over the side of the boat out there, so I should be able to light it up. Actually, it looked kind of cool. I turned it on the other night, and it lights up the water under the water for quite a ways. It's like, wow, I wonder if fish are going to swim up and I'll be able to see them. I'm going to video some of that when I go out there in a minute. I mean, I could do this for a couple hours and then it would be too late for me to want to go do it, but because this stuff, what I was saying, it takes years to build up. Like Morgellons and the issues that are attributed or credited to it, that I apply to it, is something that everybody has. It's not a thing separate from, it's the buildup of these toxins and what it does to you over time. And they're played off by the medical establishment as normal signs of aging, or if they're acute enough, then they give them a name as a disorder or disease, and they, have a whole backstory explaining how they came to these conclusions and what tests they did and what were the markers and tags and RNA, DNA bullshit that they fucking, I'm not saying all that shit's bullshit, but it's just, it's the story that makes it sound legit. Like the Raynaud's, Dr. Raynaud back in fucking whatever discovered or this thing with his fingers. Yeah, sure, in the 1800s. So it's a normal thing. It's been around a long time, and shit, get the fuck out. Everything that's related to Morgellons is directly mirrored by toxic metal acute overload in your body. And unless you're completely delusional, you're aware of the fact that we're being sprayed from tanker jets with metal gases. Do you think that could contribute to the toxic metal buildup problem that's making so many people sick? Or am I going way out on a fucking conspiracy limb here to think that breathing poison gas all day could harm you? Because, this is America, I know, so clearly it can't be anything that's harmful, otherwise we would be able to do it. That would be wrong. It'd be illegal. There'd be a law against it, and our leaders would go to Congress and demand that this stops right now. I command you, Congress, you need to stop right now spraying America with poison. So we know it's not really poison, otherwise that would happen, right? Our Constitution would protect us from some bad thing like that the conspiracy theorists are trying to con us into believing is happening. That's what's going on. Yeah, sure, that's what's going on. Yeah. John Q. Public. What the fuck ever. I live in a little bubble and I don't see chemtrails or nothing. I just go to work and everything's great. I come home and kiss my wife on the cheek and then I watch television until I pass out and my wife carries me to bed and I wake up and do it again the next day. What a wonderful world we live in. God bless America. I can't wait till my son joins the army and goes off to kill people in another country so we can be free. Hooray! Because we need 18 to 25-year-olds with guns to protect us. You see, there's always a danger the Chinese are going to attack at any minute, and the Koreans are going to attack after that, and then the Russians are going to attack. Oh my God! Thank God all of our kids are in the military off killing people on the other side of the world so that we can be safe and free. Woo! Tick, 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 tick. Biggest cowards are in the military. I mean, why do you join the military? Oh, because you're scared. Or you've got nowhere else to go, and that's really what it is now. They don't need to have a draft because they have a volunteer army. Why do they have a volunteer army? Because they've destroyed the fucking society They've destroyed the economy, they've destroyed the society, they've destroyed the family unit, and everybody is just broke the fuck into pieces and scattered all over the place. Just doing whatever they can to try not to end up sleeping under a fucking bridge. The American way. Yay, yay, let's support that. That's good stuff right there. I mean, it's pretty obvious how it was done. Through money and influence. Taking all the local sourced food and getting rid of it. You can't really get it unless you live right there. You work on the farm or something, the big corporate farm. Sure, you could probably snag an ear of corn and nobody'd notice. But you know, like when I went up to what was it, Silver Falls? Not Silver Falls. Outside of Salem, I went up to it might have been Silver Falls. On the way up there into the low-lying mountains, the Cascade Range, there was all these farms up there as I drove along. Christmas tree fucking farms. I mean, big farms, big areas of land that is most would be best suited for vegetables and things of that nature. Christmas tree farms all over. Christmas tree farms, and that's what was in the smaller farms in the low hills, going up towards the mountains. And down in the valley is corporate farms. That they do grow food down there, but they grow, one thing in this gigantic, area. And they're big corporate. They're not anything you can't go down there and buy yourself some food that just got picked out of the field out there. It's all corporate stuff. They use their own special water. Think about that. They use their own special fertilizer, their own special water, probably their own special soil. They started doing that a long time ago. Do you think there's a plot going on to poison everybody and take over the food supply? Is that a thing? Is it possible? I mean, or am I just a super whacked out conspiracy theorist to think that if some evil cabal with all this money and power and influence wanted to turn mankind into their slave race, that they would do it with the food supply and the availability of food, and by poisoning everybody with neurotoxins that make them weak and dumb and unable to even identify where the problem they're having is coming from, and so they become completely dependent on systems, and they keep everybody that way, and then until the last generation has all died off and the next generations that have grown up in this consider it to be perfectly normal. It's perfectly normal. How could people ever live without cell phones? How could people ever survive without the interstate system and the internet? The internet, yeah. How could people survive without this and that, without their pills, without this, without that, without their doctors to tell them whether or not they should wipe their ass after taking a shit? Ask your doctor if breathing is okay for you. Ask your doctor if you should wipe your butt after taking a crap. Ask your doctor if it's okay for you to go outside. Ask your doctor if you can go in the sun. Ask your doctor about this. Ask your doctor about this new drug we came up with. We're not going to give you a clue of what it does. We're just going to show you some pictures of some happy people walking through the park and some another guy on a jet ski and then someone else, climbing a mountain. Ask your doctor about blah, blah, blah. Ask your doctor. Fuck, whatever. That's a psyop right there. Ask your doctor being repeated in your ear thousands and thousands of times. You might be in there watching television. Ask your doctor about. But when you go in the kitchen to get something to eat, or you go in the other room, the TV's still on, or you just happen to be there and someone else is watching TV and the TV's on, every 5 minutes you get somebody telling you to ask your doctor. Ask your doctor if you can do this. Ask your doctor if you can do that. That goes into the subconscious mind. And people are already poisoned and messed up and then raised with all these stupid belief systems that are just bullshit. And then they've got subliminals drifting into their mind constantly, and they can't even... a lot of people don't even think subliminal is real. They think, oh, well, if I don't notice it, then it's not affecting me. Okay, yeah. If you don't notice it, it's not. That's what my mom says. She'll sit there and have a conversation on the phone while the TV's just blaring in this ear, and she's talking this in there, and then she's trying to talk to me too at the same time. I'm like, turn one of these off because I can't follow you. She's like, oh, and the commercials will be on. I'll say something to her. She was like, oh, I'm not listening to that. She's reading the Bible while St. Jude's Children's Hospital Kids with Cancer commercial that's 5 minutes long is going in the background. Little kids, won't you please help us? Not that I don't care about little children with cancer. I care about the fact that there were no children with cancer 50 years ago. The reason there are children with cancer now is they're being made. Our medical system is making children with cancer. It's making people with cancer from the time they're born. And by the time the generation dies off that knows that isn't normal, everybody's going to think that that's normal. You're born with cancer, you die when you're 50, and you reproduce another crop of kids for the work in the factory. That's what they want, really. That's what the bankster Moneymasters that want to rule the world want. They don't want a very big population. They want all the things built that have been built. They want to scale back the population, and they want that population to be so fucking stupid and unknowing of anything that's real that they just believe everything they're told. They wouldn't dare question it because they're not smart enough to come up with the question to ask. They just do their job and die. Just like a soldier. Why do you think that they're called soldiers? And you're a soldier too. If you work in a factory, you're just a soldier. If you're a wage slave that spends your whole life working for a big corporate overlord, you're a soldier. And soldier means sold your. You sold your. When you go and work as a wage slave for an evil entity corporation, you have sold your soul, because you are no longer making your decisions. Your soul is your life. You got two souls on your feet. You walk around on the earth while you're here with your soul kept inside of your meat suit. And the meat suit isn't worth anything, but the thing that animates the meat suit is. That's you. You animate your meat suit, right? Well, if that's valuable and the energy and work that you can do is valuable, then when you go and do work for someone else for money, you've sold your soul. When you join the military and you go off and you will kill other people at someone else's command people that have never posed a threat to you in your life or harmed you, and you have no way to know whether or not they've even done anything wrong, and you'll go kill them at someone else's command, who's in charge? Not you. You've sold your soul. People in the military think they're so fucking, I'm so tough and, I'm so practical and realistic about the world, I don't believe this stupid bullshit, the world's hard and this is the way it is. Those guys are fucking retards. Fucking, the reason that the mankind state is war is because of you morons who won't stop going and killing people. Like that fucking song, The Universal Soldier, Because the universal soldier, and he really is to blame. Anybody willing to go do that has sold their soul. And when you sell your soul to the devil, well, you're no longer making the decisions. You join the military, you're in a rank and file system. You don't make any decisions. Somebody tells you what to do, and you go fucking do it. Sure, you're responsible. You're responsible for the things that you're supposed to do. You have to report to your superiors and be responsible for the orders you were given. But you're not responsible. You don't make any fucking decisions. How could you be responsible about your decisions? Your decisions are to do what you're told by your superior, and then to relay orders back down the line to your inferiors or whatever. But never ever do you make a decision. People join the military so that they don't have to make decisions, so that they're not responsible for anything. Everything was someone else's decision, and it's not my fault. So if you're out there in the battlefield and you're fucking, you're a super soldier, you're just fucking mowing down the enemy, right? Well, congratulations, you're a hero. Good for you. Good job. You're sold your soul. You're an evil minion fucking of the devil. Who's flying over right now? Probably using directed energy weapons, because people don't think those are real either. Yeah, we've just developed all of these weapon systems and these chemical aerosol delivery systems, and we're not going to use any of it, though. None of it's being used. That's all a conspiracy theory, you see. There's no such thing as directed energy weapons that are being used. Sure, we've got all the technical manuals and briefings of the development and how it was paid for by our government, and the funds were approved and what it does, and here's the reports on how they could be implemented, but none of those things are happening, of course. because that would be wrong and bad. Especially if you did it to your own people, right? Which is another aspect of the mindfuck on this. The Geneva Conventions. Okay, you start talking about the conspiracy-related stuff, and people will say, well, the Geneva Convention, da-da-da-da. The Geneva Conventions make this stuff illegal. You can't use biological weapons in warfare and stuff. And no, you can't. It's against their rules, you're right. To use biological weapons in wars, and to use a lot of other types of weapons are technically, by international agreement, illegal to do in war. But what if it's not during war? Or what if you just do it to your own people? It doesn't say anything about using biological weapons on your own people. It says about using them against other nations. So what if the G8 summits, where the leaders of the nations get together, like, well, we can't use biological weapons on each other, but we could use them on our own people, so hey, you poison your people, I'll poison my people, and then when they're stupid enough, then we'll send them to war. After they've all sold their souls for the mighty dollar to the Moneymasters, who want to enslave the world and have us all be their bitches forever, and the new Yupster generation think that that's super cool. Yeah, I'm gonna be a minion of the evil overlords. Yay! Oh, honey, we're moving up in the world now. We're gonna get that nice house down the street and raise ourselves a family. No, I'm not gonna do that. But we're gonna get those sex change operations, and you're gonna be the man, and I'm gonna be the woman. Oh, it'll be great, baby. Now our dreams are finally gonna come true. Whoa! And the army's gonna pay for it. Hooray! Isn't defending America great? Yay for freedom! I guess that's all I got to say for now. So, there you go. That's it. Hopefully you got a chuckle out of that, because, it's funny, because it's true.